Well, Nick and Casey, it is so awesome to see you both again. Thanks for joining me tonight.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks for inviting
you.
us.
We are very excited to have you coming in as our group's pastor candidate, Nick and Casey. It's been awesome to get to know you as well. We know it's bittersweet leaving a place that you love and a lot of relationships that you love. And I know you've had to break the news to certain people, and not everyone has, certainly they're disappointed. But that's kind of a good thing on our end. We want them to be a little disappointed anyway, because we want to get people who are integrated into the community. And if this is something that God is doing in your life and He's preparing you for this next phase of ministry, then we're excited to be a part of that. And God's going to take care of your previous church. He's going to take care of us. He's going to take care of you guys. And this is just all about letting our church family get to know you a little bit better. So I thought we'd start off with could you tell us about your family? Who are the two of you and your kids?
Yeah. Well, I'm Nick Parker, and this is my wife, Casey. We've been married for 10 years we just celebrated. So we have two little kids. Elle is our 8-year-old daughter, and Caleb is our 3-year-old son. They both just had recent birthdays. And so the early part of the year is a big part of the year for our family, with our anniversary and birthdays just right back to back.
That's great. And can you share a little bit about your background, your training, how you came to trust in Jesus?
Yeah. So for me, so I grew up in a family. I'm from a little small town in north central Missouri, middle of nowhere. And my parents divorced when we were young. But whether we were with mom or dad, we went to church every Sunday, because that's kind of what you do in the small town. But honestly, we were one of those families that kind of left Jesus at church. He didn't impact the rest of our life a whole lot. So when I got to be a teenager, I kind of left that all behind and went my own way. The world came calling, and I followed after that for quite a while, through high school and college and really into my 20s. And I was living here in Kansas City at the time, actually, and I drove past the church where I am right now, Legacy Christian Church, on my way to work every day. And I just decided, well, my life isn't really where I thought it would be at this point. I was 27 years old and kind of left a wake of disastrous relationships and things in my past. And I decided, well, maybe church is the thing to do. So I checked it out for a while and just kind of lived, 1 foot in, 1 foot out, until the campus pastor here at the time got a hold of me and helped me to realize a couple different things. Just my upbringing of Jesus was a Sunday thing. He's helped me to see, no, that's not how it is. Jesus should be part of your life every day. And this is a relationship that you're working on all the time. And then also, he helped me to see that I kind of thought, hey, I had to clean up my life before I gave it over to Jesus. And he helped me to see, no, Jesus accepts you right where you are. And then, you give your life to him, and then you have his Spirit's power, and you become part of the church, and you have the body of Christ around you to kind of help you grow up in your faith from there. So it was 2 days after my 28th birthday, I decided to give my life over to the Lord. And really, I've been a part of, the very next night I joined a small group, and I've been a part of small groups ever since. And I kind of have a unique situation there, in that all the churches I've been a part of, small groups have been a huge part of what they do. And I've really never had a bad small group experience. And being a small group pastor since then, I know that's really unusual. A lot of people have bad small group experiences. I've just been blessed. God has ordained that all the way through. So fast forward to about 5 years ago, we were at Harvester Christian Church there in the St. Louis area. And I just started to get more involved with small groups at that point in time. We led a group. We probably started leading a group right after we were married. So that's 10 years ago, probably, that we started really group leadership and everything. God kind of took it from there. I cut a long story short, pretty soon I felt like maybe God was calling me into ministry. And so the church at the time had a program that partnered with a couple different colleges to where you could get a Bible certificate there, a 2-year program. And so I went through that and just loved it. And then pretty soon they hired me on as the group's pastor there. And I've been in ministry for the last 4.5, 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a world record for time from trusting in Jesus to getting plugged into a group. I mean, our goal is pretty quick, but that's impressive, I got to say.
Yeah.
Casey, can you tell us about your faith journey?
Sure, I'd be glad to. Like Nick, I grew up going to church, and church was, it was a small church in a small town, a lot like Nick's. My grandparents growing up lived like a mile away from the house I grew up in. And they would come over, pick us up. We'd all go to church, and then they'd drive us home every Sunday. And that's just what we did. But like Nick said, church stayed at church. That was a Sunday thing, and it didn't impact anything else that we did. We just sort of checked the box. And it just was never personal for me because I wasn't too connected. I wasn't involved in anything in the youth or anything like that. And so, I graduated from high school, went off to college. I moved like an hour away, and didn't really look for a church to belong to. It just didn't feel like a huge part of my life. And Grandma and Grandpa didn't pull in the driveway, so there was that. But yeah, I lived most of my 20s doing the college thing, doing the corporate thing after that, just trying to succeed, I guess, in my own definition of success. And it wasn't until I met Nick, I was 29 when we met, and pretty soon after we started dating, he asked if I wanted to go to church with him. And I said, okay. And so we went, and we walked out that morning after service, and he said, well, what did you think? And I said, I think I want to go back. It was just different somehow. And I just wanted more of that. And I wanted to figure out what was so different. And over the next few months, we went to church regularly together. And I started learning that this was a personal faith, that the creator of the universe wanted a personal relationship with me. And even to say that out loud right now kind of blows my mind because that's just overwhelming. But that was the piece I was missing, that personal connection and that personal faith. That's the piece that was missing. And that's what got me. I needed to take this throughout my week, and I needed to focus on a personal relationship and abide, like Jesus says in John 15 about being the vine and the branch, and just having that constant abiding. I don't have it all perfect. I will never tell you that. That's a work in progress, but that's been the focus since.
Yeah. Once you figure that out perfectly, would you share that with me?
Right. Yeah. I'll never be sharing that with you. I'm sorry.
Yeah. We're all on a journey, and it won't be completed until Jesus takes us home. I love stories like these because there's something about people. We love it when kids trust in Jesus, but there's something about people that trust in Jesus as adults where it's like you saw the life before, you see the life after. And sometimes, especially with what we do, we get to share the gospel with a lot of people, and we get to see adults transform from the person they were before to someone completely new. And it's like, wait, no matter what else you believe or what other evidence you see, the evidence of a changed life is so, so powerful. And that's a really neat story that both of you have. One other thing I was going to ask you, what about your professional training? So Casey, what is your professional training in? What did you do in the corporate world?
Yeah. So in college, my degree's in journalism. I love to write. I have Irish heritage, and I love stories. It's just in me. And so that was my education. After college, I held a couple different positions in the marketing world, did some corporate PR, did some marketing strategy, and some graphic design. And then not long after Nick and I got married, I actually served as the communication director for the church that we were a part of there for like 3 years almost, I think. Became a mom and decided I was not doing this full-time work thing as a new mom. And so Nick kind of nudged me, gave me the nudge I needed to start freelancing and doing graphic design on a freelance basis. So that's what I currently do.
Awesome.
You've actually worked with them a couple of times, right?
I have.
Yeah, this is totally unplanned and not figured out until partway along this whole process. But you've done some work for us. You've done some sermon graphic work for me without me even knowing it.
That's right.
Our communications director contracted you to do some freelance work remotely. And people watching this may remember the Nehemiah series. I think you produced the book and the graphics and things that went along with that, and that was awesome.
Yeah, I think your communications, Carrie, I think she knows someone else that is also a communication director in churches, and they kind of networked. And I think that's how she found me. I was recommended, I guess.
Yep, that's right. And Nick, your formal training originally was not in ministry, was it?
No. So I actually have a degree in accounting, and that's what I went to school for. And within a couple of years of doing that every day, found that to be very boring. No offense to any accountants out there, but I'm more of a people person and needed the people interaction, not just staring at a spreadsheet all the time. So I worked in recruiting and HR for about 11, 12 years before I got into ministry. So I was out in the marketplace prior to ministry.
My small group is like 60% accountants, so they will relate to you very well. So why is groups ministry so important to you? And why would you want to make that your career?
Yeah, I think for me, it's just how much impact groups have had in my own personal testimony in my own life. I did join a group so fast, and really that's where my faith took off. Particularly as a brand new believer, I'd never really studied my Bible. I'd never seen what it looks like to have a Christian marriage or any of that kind of stuff. I didn't have that modeled at home growing up. Being in a small group and being around people who already had been doing that, being able to see them living out the word. We study the Bible together, and it's important to do that and read it. But then, well, how do I do that? And I found that God has used small groups to make a dramatic transformation in my life. And it's really kind of what that pastor told me back in the day of, you have the body of Christ around you, supporting you, helping you learn how to live this way. You have the people to be an encouragement to you when you're down and challenge you when you need it, hold you accountable when you need it. Really, that became our church family. When we were living in St. Louis, we really don't have any family in that area, and that our small group was our local family. We had a group of young couples, and we all kind of had just gotten married, and pretty soon we all had kids at the same time, and so that became really that community that's so important. And then to me, that's where discipleship happens, is within those groups. That's where the iron that sharpens iron comes about, is within that group context. It's easy to kind of get lost in the crowd when Sunday is the only thing you do. But whenever you have this group of people around you, you're known, and you can know others, and you can kind of grow more in that small group space. So just the impact it's had on my own life, and then just how God has used me in the small group world, and just some of the impact I've seen in other people's lives. I think small groups are hugely important to every church and to every Christian to be a part of that.
Yeah, I love to hear that. I couldn't agree more. I've been involved in mid-sized groups and small groups for a long time, and I'm currently in both. And the small group that I have here has been just an absolute lifeline. And we like to say it's where real church life happens. You can't get to know people well in the auditorium, and the auditorium gathering is important, that weekly worship gathering of the whole big church coming together from a region. And that's what the church in Jerusalem did. But getting together in each other's homes throughout the week and spending time going deep with a group of people that you can actually go deep with, because there's a limited number of you. It's just so important to the body of Christ. I feel for those people that don't have it and that are missing out on it and don't realize that being a part of a church doesn't just mean going to attend worship once a week. That's not what it means to be a part of a church. You've got to get in with community and have close relationships with people in the body of Christ.
Yeah, for sure.
So what do you think about the possibility now of moving back to St. Louis? How does that strike you?
Yeah, so it's interesting, because I've been back and forth between St. Louis and Kansas City really most of my adult life. I've moved back and forth a couple different times, but I've lived in St. Louis total 12 years, so that's the most of anywhere other than my hometown growing up. So St. Louis feels a lot like home. We were just back for our daughter's spring break, a month or so ago, and we just love it there. Particularly with young family, there's so much to do there. We've always really loved the St. Louis area, so we're excited about the prospects of coming back to that area.
It does feel like home, and I think, like you said, it's so family oriented. We really love that, and lots to do outdoors, and it feels like home.
Yeah.
I'm really glad to hear that, because we would love for you to come and be a part of our team at First Free. Obviously, we've got a congregational vote coming up, and so the congregation in our church gets to determine whether or not we call new pastors into the church. But you've already met with our elders and our other pastors and our team that was working on the group's pastor search, and our group leaders, many of them as well. And we're very excited about this. We think our church family will be as well. Besides the obvious, which is that meeting that's coming up, on May 30th. How can we be praying for you and your family and Elle and Caleb?
Yeah, I think so. We've done this move as a family now once, so it's it's harder with. It was easy when I've done it by myself, or when we did things like that as a couple. But with two little kids, in any kind of a transition like this, we just want to make sure that it's a smooth transition for everybody involved. And so, pray for the kiddos. As our daughter's going into third grade, so she'll be leaving some friends behind, but she's already excited about a couple friends that she knows, that she remembers from when we lived there before. So she's excited about that. And really just the transition in general, be praying for our current church here that they can find someone, if this moves forward, that they can find someone to backfill my role. And then we've heard and we've kind of seen that the housing market's pretty crazy right now overall, right? So we're going to need some prayers that God would bring about the right place to live as well. So
super practically speaking, yes.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. We definitely will be praying for you to find the right place and for God to supernaturally work out the deal, because it is a challenging time right now in the housing market, but we trust that He's going to take care of you and give you a great opportunity and just make it all work out if this is where He's leading. So our faith is in Him. Yeah. Well, thank you both for taking time tonight and making it all work out so that you could both be here on the video and introduce yourself to our church. I really appreciate it. Thanks for spending some time with me.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, we appreciate the time, and we've really enjoyed all of our interactions with people there at First Free, so we're excited.